And welcome back to Sports the NEMO Way, the Sacramento Kings episode. And as you can probably guess, we are talking about the Sacramento Kings all-time starting five. All five of us are here this week, and we have no guest, so I don't think I have any housekeeping to get to. So let's get started. Drew, who is your Kings all-time starting point guard?
Oscar Robertson, Big O.
He's also mine.
The Big O is my shooting guard.
Big O is my shooting guard.
He's my point guard.
So he is unanimous.
Yeah.
He's just two different positions. Drew?
He's Hall of Famer, 12-time All-Star, 11-time All-NBA, 6-time assist champ. He's got a title. He's got an MVP, Rookie of the Year. He's a member of the 75th anniversary team. And then while his time in Sacramento, as I'm doing my air quotes with my fingers so you can all see, because technically he wasn't in Sacramento. He averaged 29 points, 10 assists, 8.5 rebounds, shot 83% from the free throw line, 48% from the field. I mean, he was first person to average triple-double. Obviously we can't see his game footage like Westbrook's was, but I don't know.
The original triple-double king.
Yeah. I mean, this is back in the 60s and 70s, so it's not like now. But
30 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists in his second year in the league.
He's a badass. After he retired, he was pretty openly considered the greatest guard in history, by the time he retired. He is the best guard of that generation of basketball.
I think Oscar Robertson is overlooked in a lot of NBA conversations anymore. But sometimes I wonder if part of it is because he's such an asshole.
Maybe.
He's just like that grumpy old man yelling at clouds. Like, anytime he's interviewed, he's always complaining about people, and
he doesn't like today's NBA.
Yeah, he's just very negative and very grouchy all the time. So,
yeah, that doesn't help people want to remember you later on.
Well, it didn't help that he played, during the time period where the Celtics were dominating everything.
Yeah, it probably didn't help.
Didn't he have to go through some shitty situations during his playing days, like with racism and stuff like that?
I believe he did.
Weren't they in
it really rubbed him the wrong way.
Cincinnati?
Understandable.
Yeah, they were in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I've never read any Oscar Robertson books or anything, so I don't have any specific stories about him being, racist things happening to him, but I have read two of Bill Russell's books, and he talks about the racist things happening to him while he was a Celtic. Like, he's winning championships and not allowed in restaurants, not allowed in hotels.
People vandalized his home.
Yeah, they vandalized his home, wrote the N-word all over the walls, pooped in his bed.
They shit and stuff.
Yeah, all sorts of crazy things happening to this guy while he's winning 11 championships.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, I think Oscar had some pretty bad things going on in his younger years in the NBA, and unfortunately, it was just the time period.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I think he still holds a lot of that, kind of. I think that's a large part of the way he is. But,
sure. Well, it would be hard to get past that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it would.
Because I'm sure they didn't appreciate him for what he was doing back then.
No.
Right.
Like we would today. And it's,
Yeah.
Would we, though? We don't appreciate Westbrook.
He's not the greatest.
Westbrook's career is kind of interesting. He kind of, I don't know. I think he was kind of overrated for a little bit, and now I think he's kind of underrated. I think he got shit on a little too much just because of the LeBron situation with the Lakers, and he just kind of got a weird career. It's kind of all over the place, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I guess we spent quite a bit of time talking about Oscar, even though he's on all of our teams, and he's made all of our top 50 lists, so it's not like, so it wasn't a surprise he's on here. So I guess we need some point guards. So, Wade, you need a point guard, right?
Yes.
All right, so Wade, who's your point guard?
Well, I moved Oscar to the 2 because the guy I have at point guard is very, very small, and that would be tiny Nate Archibald.
That would be my point guard as well.
The very first player in NBA history to lead the league in points and assists in one season. His days with the Kings, he was on his way to becoming probably an all-time great guy. I mean, I believe he still ended up in the Hall of Fame, but the second half of his career was kind of not quite as productive as the first part. But the first part of his career, he was a top-flight NBA player, or he was one of the best players in the whole league.
Well, he tore his Achilles, and he never really was able to return to form after that.
He was just kind of a quality player after
tearing
that.
your Achilles in the 70s. I mean,
Yeah.
you see people now tear their Achilles and they're not.
So I think he played a while for the Celtics, I think, in the second part of his career, correct?
Yeah, he did.
And he's good and productive, but he's nowhere near the guy he was in
Did he?
with the Kings.
He won one. Did he win 2 championships with Boston?
I don't remember.
I don't know. It's hard to
I know he averaged
because he's
No,
a little
he
over
wa-
25,
they
almost
wa-
3 rebounds and 8 assists.
Yeah.
While he was in Sacramento,
Sacramento.
Yeah.
Tony Archibald was
he was legit.
he was easily a first ballot Hall of Famer, probably just
And
from what he did there.
Had an assist title.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you're the
Yeah,
first player ever to lead the league in points and assists in a season. I mean, that's a pretty big accomplishment, I think.
yeah,
34 points, 11 assists.
Yeah, that's nasty.
Nasty. Now, and I don't mean to discredit other eras, but this is an era where he led the league in scoring, where Jabbar was playing, Chamberlain was playing, Rick Barry was playing, Havlicek is in his heyday.
yeah.
I can't think off the top of my head, but some really, really top tier, big time scoring guys were in the league at the same time.
Was Elvin
George
Hayes
Gervin.
there yet?
What's up?
Was Elvin Hayes in there yet?
We're talking 74. So Elvin Hayes
Yeah,
would have been in the league.
He was a point machine.
So I mean, there was some big time scores in the league when 34 points a game isn't anything to shake a stick at for sure.
He's kind of gotten, I think, kind of forgotten over time. I mean, obviously, with the big injury kind of derailing the second half of his career, he ended up not, if he doesn't tear his Achilles, I think he would easily end up being a top 10 all-time point guard. And you might be able to make an argument even now that he might be able to squeeze in the bottom of someone's list, as a top 10 point guard of all time.
Obviously, not being alive during that time, and Uncle Doug is probably the best suited to answer this question. Was he considered a big stats, bad team guy?
Yeah, probably at the beginning. I remember him more when he was with Boston later.
Because the year
But then he wasn't.
Same player.
Yeah, it wasn't the same player.
like the year he led the league in both stats, they finished 10 games under 500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, his coach that year was Bob Cousy.
Oh well. Okay.
No Qs, huh?
No wonder he ended up in Boston.
It's kind of tricky with some of that because there are bad team, good stat guys, and there's also guys that are just really, really good that just play on terrible, terrible teams, and sometimes there's nothing you can do about it.
Well, and in that time period, a point guard didn't. Well, it was more a big man thing. If you didn't have a good big man, you weren't going a long ways.
Well, wasn't that kind of Oscar's problem until he played with Jabbar?
Yeah.
His big men got beat up in a lot of big playoff games by Russell and Wilt and whoever else was dominating the league then.
So Archibald didn't have a winning season until his 5th year in the league.
Dang.
And it wasn't like he won 50 games or anything. He just barely finished. But then the very next season, he finished 20 games under 500.
Yeah.
So, there wasn't any winning going on the whole time he was there.
Just pick one of those years and who was on the team.
Oh, okay. I can do that.
I'm just curious, see if I can even remember any of
I'm
them.
trying to think when Jerry Lucas left. Well, he might have been with the Knicks during a lot of that.
All right. Rick Adelman. Is that the coach?
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Okay. Tiny Archibald. Sorry. Ron Behagen. Another head coach. Mike D'Antoni.
Oh, okay.
Ken Durrett. Ollie Johnson. Don Kojis. Kojis. I don't know. Lynn Kozmowski. Sam Lacey. Sam Lacey sounds familiar.
That does sound familiar.
I'm going to click on him real quick. Sam Lacey. Yeah. He was a 6'10 center. Averaged 10 and 10 for his career.
Yeah, see, that big guy's not going to get it done against.
There's Tiny's big man. 10 and 10.
Don May, Larry McNeil, Jimmy Walker, Scott Wedman, he was on some of the Celtics teams in the '60s.
Yeah.
And Nate Williams.
It's pretty much knew two people. We knew them for being coaches, not players.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
I
So, yeah,
don't really remember those
And I
guys.
clicked on the season they had a winning record.
Oh, okay.
So he had nobody.
Right.
So he's out there
I'll
killing
go
people
back
by
to
himself.
I'll go back to the season he led the league in both categories. See if there's anybody else. John Block, Pete Cross, Dick Gibbs, Matt Gokus, Toby Kimball, Sam Lacey's still there. Mike Ratliff, Ron Riley, Frank Shades, Sam Sibbert, Tom Van Arsdale,
Oh, now I remember Van Arsdale's.
yeah, and Nate Williams. Van Arsdale is a 3-time All-Star, All-Rookie.
He ended up going to the Bulls, I think. I think Van Arsdale ended up playing for the Bulls.
And is that Matt Gukas? Is that how it's spelled? Because I know him from announcing.
Oh,
Matty But in his time in Cincinnati, he had Arsdale averaged 19 and 5, so not terrible. I
That
guess.
is a name I know, at least.
Sounds
On
like he had
45%.
At least that season, he had one quality teammate. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Poor
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, I didn't really recognize a lot of those names.
No,
When did Cincinnati come into the league? Do we know?
They were there when the Cincinnati Royals early on.
60s maybe?
I'm not sure when they came in.
Yeah. When did Oscar come in? Because that's where he came in.
That's true. He did come in. He came in the early 60s.
So yeah, they'd have been there quite a while.
It's crazy that franchise has been around this long and they have
Yeah.
Not much.
not a lot of
Yeah.
success.
It's crazy.
The year before his injury, he played for the New York Nets. They were 22 and 60.
Holy shit!
Yeah, they were really bad. Played with Mel Daniels.
Okay.
Hmm.
There's a
Yeah,
name.
yeah. Bob Love.
I've heard the name, but I can't picture him. So was not Oscar, but did Archibald ever play with Jerry Lucas, or is that Jerry Lucas just before him?
I think Jerry Lucas played with Oscar, didn't he?
Probably. Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. When did Archibald come in the league? Was he?
Archibald's first year is 70.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
he was
All right.
later.
Gotcha. Never mind then. I didn't know if he.
I can click on Oscar's teams here and see when he played with.
I think Lucas was on those two Knicks teams that won championships in the early '70s, so he might have already been in New York.
I think I clicked on.
I think he was there anyway.
I clicked on 65, 66. Jerry Lucas is here with Robertson. They also had Jack Twyman and Wayne Embry. They didn't have a bad team.
Didn't they have a few? Like they'd make the playoffs, but didn't they usually just lose to Russell or Wilt? Wasn't that kind of Oscar's thing for part of his career?
Yeah, I mean this year that I picked, he lost in the playoffs to Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that happened frequently.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't win until he went to Milwaukee. So I
Right.
mean,
Well, he had to go get a
That's
dominant big man
Yeah.
for himself.
Had to have a big man.
And that was really old Oscar at that point.
It wasn't-
all right. Well, we need some shooting guards here. So I guess Ray, who is your shooting guard?
Oh, Doug already went?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. My shooting guard is Mitch Richmond.
He's also mine.
He's mine.
He's my small forward.
He's my small forward. I think our lists are pretty similar, Wade.
I like it. I like it.
So Mitch is on the team.
All right. So Richmond's at 23, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, and not even a block.
Well, I'm sorry. What were his points per game there again?
23.3.
Okay, I knew it was high. There you
But the big kicker here is he shot 40% from three.
go.
Yeah.
He's 45 from the field, 40 from three, and 84 from the free throw line.
I'm kind of shocked he didn't get brought up in our top 50 list. Maybe I'm kind of shocked.
Very end of the list. Maybe.
Yeah, I didn't, because I mean the bottom of all of our positions were kind of all over the place. And
I mean,
I think you probably could have made an argument for him
Kinda
at the very
accolades
bottom
that
of
we
your
have.
list.
He's a 6-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA. He won Rookie of the Year, and he won a championship with the Lakers when he was old and crippled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's also in the Hall of Fame.
Oh.
Yeah,
You could make a case for him to be the very bottom of your list.
It'd been a
maybe.
close. Yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on how we're
I
feeling
think-
that night.
I think this is another guy, though, that is hurt because, I mean, yes, he wins a championship as an old man in L.A. He can barely move. I mean, he averages 4 points and 1 rebound.
He got a Gary Payton.
right, but other than that,
You hate on this.
he rarely even made the playoffs in his career.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he was a good stats, bad team guy.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, knockdown shooter. Not trying to take anything away from him, but not
Did Mitch play for K-State? I was thinking he came out of
yes,
K-State.
he did. He played for K-State.
And I think he actually went to JUCO in Moberly
Oh,
really.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Pretty cool.
because back in the day, Moberly was known. I mean, the Greyhounds, which I had the shirt on earlier, won the JUCO national title. Were there all the time because a lot of the Midwest schools stashed players there to get their grades up.
Yeah.
Mizzou had a couple big name guys that went through Moberly area. I think Richmond did. And
Mitch Richmond graduated Boyd Anderson High School in Lauderdale Lakes, Florida in '84, and then he attended Moberly Area Junior College in Missouri for 2 years before transferring to Kansas State.
yeah.
Pretty
Yeah, whenever we go down for like that shootout there, they have banners hanging up. Like,
Oh yeah.
They have a bunch of
I mean,
titles.
Moberly they were good.
Uh,
You could go see some really good players there.
Why
for a
was he
while.
in a JUCO though? Did he do something wrong or?
I think it was grades.
great.
A lot of times they stash guys there to help them get their grades up.
I mean, that's pretty
I mean, it really makes sense for
popular thing. Like lots of little JUCOs do that. And stuff. Yeah.
I mean, they get to be good for
Yeah.
1 or 2 years. They only need them
Right.
for
Well, and you can get a lot more attention at a JUCO. You're not just, K-State's going to have 30, 40,000 students where Moberly's got, maybe 1,000.
Well,
So you can get tutors and
and you
which
can
is a lot
also
better.
you can go to those little schools like that, little JUCO, and you can really, really work on your game and really develop without a ton of attention from like if say you're playing at a huge school. You can go to a JUCO and really work on your game and not have to worry about people hounding you, and you can kind of get your stuff together and like you said, get your grades together and kind of elevate your game and then go to a big college and really kind of take off from there.
Well, especially if you're not the only one that's getting stashed there.
Yeah.
If you got 2 or 3 guys that are all getting ready to go D1,
Yeah.
you got some really good guys to practice with and against.
and it can be fun.
Yeah. Or if you had a couple colleges that you really want to go to, but they already have like an All-American guard,
Right.
you go play in your JUCO, and then you can come in and tear it up when that guy's gone.
So,
I mean, there's benefits to doing stuff like that.
sure.
All right. Well,
I will say before we move on that there was somebody I really wanted to put at shooting guard, but I just couldn't justify it. And that's Otis Birdsong.
I don't know who that is.
Averaged 21 points, 3.6 boards, and about 3 assists. And the reason I always think about Otis is because I've actually met him.
Oh.
Years ago when I was in college, they used to run a basketball camp at Culver. And Cotton Fitzsimmons ran it, and he was coaching the Kansas City Kings.
He's from Bowling Green, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
And he went to HLG, and he and the coach at Culver at the time were there together. And he would always bring in one of his players, at least for a day, during his camp. And one of the days, Otis Birdsong was there, and I was working at the college, and we all got to meet him.
Oh,
Really nice guy. It was
cool.
kind of cool.
Sweet.
Well, at least he was nice the day we all met him.
Yeah.
But anyway, he didn't quite measure up to Mitch Richmond and Oscar. So
All right. Well, I think we're looking for some small forwards here. I haven't gone yet, so my small forward is Peja Stojakovic.
He's mine too.
Another guy that's kind of a forgotten hidden gem.
yeah,
He is not mine.
Oh.
Peja averaged 18 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal on 46 from the field. 39.8, so almost 40%.
Just say 40%.
Yeah, 40% from 3. and 89% from the free throw line. Obviously, Peja is known for his knockdown shooting. He's also 6'10", so he could get his shot off over most guys, and didn't need to hog the ball to do it. And
I think a lot of people, when they look back at Peja, they just think of him as this. Oh yeah, he's a really good shooter. He was like Kyle Korver, but he was so much more than that. He was just a flat out a really, really good NBA player for a while. I mean, you can argue he was probably the second best player on those Kings teams that were contending for championships in the early 2000s.
right, and he put up some stupid stats after Weber left. Like he had a couple seasons there where he put up some big numbers.
I believe he had 1 year, I don't know which year exactly it was, where he actually got MVP votes. And I came across it one time, a long time ago, and it stuck in my brain.
I will look, but he went to the All-Star game 3 times and had an All-NBA while he was in Sacramento.
I'm guessing it's the All-NBA season. Like, I'm not saying he finished like second or something, but I think he actually was like in the conversation or got a vote or two or something weird.
Well, Alex, I know what you were thinking about your team. But I got to think. I saw 2 guys that shot 40% from 3 at the wing, and one of them was 6'10". I was like, this can be deadly. Wings.
Peja got MVP votes 2 seasons in his career.
Yeah.
In 01-02, he finished 16th.
Okay. It's not that one.
But in 03-04, he finished 4th.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking
He
about.
got 22% of the votes.
Wow.
Like, and he was contending with like big dogs. Who was it that year?
Garnett won it. Duncan was second. Jermaine O'Neal was third.
Oh,
And then Peja.
okay.
And then it was Peja, then Kobe, then Shaq.
It's kind of, so he beat out Kobe and Shaq in the MVP voting. Like,
He did indeed.
I'm not saying he deserved to, but I mean,
Well,
I think that really displays how dominant of a player he really was in his prime.
Kobe averaged 24, 5, and 5 that year on 43% and 32%.
Yeah.
So not a great season from Kobe. Peja averaged 24, 6, and 2 on 48 and 43.
That's pretty
He
nasty.
was almost 50-40-90 that year. He shot 48%, which held him back from doing 50-40-90 that year.
Well, it does sound like he might have outplayed Kobe that year.
Yeah, I think he did.
Especially with the efficiency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he kind of matched some of his other numbers, too.
Well, he actually averaged tenths more points than Kobe. It wasn't a whole point or anything, but more rebounds, a couple less assists, same amount of steals, and was far more efficient than Kobe. Shaq averaged 21-11 on 58% shooting.
Oh, wow. Way to go, Shaq.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was
21-11, so it wasn't a great year for
21
Shaq.
11?
And
Did he play all the games?
67.
Wait,
Yeah,
what
that's
year did you
bad.
say that was?
This is 03-04.
Oh,
This is the year. This is their last year together. This is when they're fighting.
Yeah, because you have Shaq and Kobe fighting, and then they bring in Karl Malone and Gary Payton, and
yeah,
that year
that
was kind of all over the place.
That was a crap year.
It was. So
Garnett won MVP that year with 24 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.5 steals, and 2 blocks on 50%, 25%, 79%.
I say he deserved the MVP.
Garnett had a big season.
Yeah.
Well, that's the year they made a big playoff push, didn't they? Was that
Was
the year
that
they
the
did
year?
there? Or was that later?
Let's look.
One of those years.
They
there.
had the best record in the NBA,
Yeah.
and they went to the Western Conference Finals.
That's when they finally got him some help with Cassell and
Yeah.
Sprewell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
24 and 14 is a pretty big number for
pretty good
today's
season.
NBA.
Well, I mean,
But then you add 5 assists
Yeah.
with it. That's
Garnett's thing was his overall versatility. He could do pretty much anything on the floor.
Yeah, and I mean, you got Duncan to finish second, 22 and 12, 3 assists, a steal, and 2 blocks. You're like, that's a really good season. But he had 2 less points, 2 less rebounds, 2 less assists, a half less steal, and same amount of blocks. Like,
Yeah.
Garnett had himself a season. Anyway, we're talking about this quite a bit. But yes, Stojakovic finished 4th in the MVP voting one year. So, all right. Well, I guess we need Ray's small forward now.
All right.
I'm curious.
Mine is Metal World Peace.
Didn't he have a really big scoring year there once?
I thought his big scoring year was in Chicago. for
No,
some
it was Indiana with 24.
Yeah, but it was Indiana where he got
Yeah,
24? Oh, okay.
24.
I thought he had a real big one in Sacramento.
He got 18.9 for his stint in Sacramento. 5 rebounds, almost 6, 3.6 assists, 2 steals, and .7 on the block set. So coming off from the disaster, which was the Malice of the Palace, change of scenery, but still pretty decently locked down defender. I thought throw him in there. We got a couple good scorers already. Let's play some defense, and that's where I'm at.
He's averaging 19 points on 43, 35, and 72.
Another guy that's kind of overlooked. Everyone just remembers him for being, big old crazy pants out there.
Yeah.
And people and people remember him for his great defense. But younger Ron Artest, I'm gonna call him by Ron Artest.
Me too.
Yeah, that's fine.
He was a really good offensive player as well.
Yeah.
On top of being a great defender.
But he's one of those guys, like, he won Defensive Player of the Year. He made a bunch of all-defensive teams. He made an all-star team. He made an all-NBA. Like, you're talking about a really quality player. I mean, even for his overall career numbers are quality, 13, 4, and 2, and he stuck around too long.
Mm-hmm.
But he played all over the damn place. That tells you how crazy and off the rocker he was, is because no matter what he was doing, nobody wanted to keep him around.
Right.
Oh yeah, he was nuts.
He definitely was.
He was wound a little tight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then a couple years later, he goes wins a title in L.A.
He did.
So
He was an important part of
And
that
he
team.
was very instrumental in winning that title.
Yeah.
He came up big in the championship series.
I mean, they went out and got him for a reason. I mean, Trevor Ariza was a good, solid up-and-coming player, but they went out and got Ron Artest for a reason. Because, I mean, he brought a little bit more to the table than Ariza at that point in time.
Well, what they were trying to do was bring in toughness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not Trevor Ariza.
Right.
But that definitely is Ron Artest.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're just going to get... Sorry, excuse me.
All right. Well, 3 small forwards, huh? Well,
Yep.
that's the position I thought we'd have players at. But all right. Well, power forward. I guess we're back around to you, Drew. Who's your power forward?
Jerry Lucas.
Oh, he's not mine.
I do not have Jerry
No,
Lucas.
I didn't have Jerry either.
Nope.
I thought pretty hard about it, but
No, I'll wait till the end to go into detail.
Okay, well, his time in Cincy, he was 7-time All-Star. He didn't get, I'm just going to say everything. He's champ, but not there. 5-time All-NBA. He's Rookie of the Year, 75th anniversary team. But time in Cincinnati, he averaged 19 points, 19 rebounds, 3 assists. I mean, we have his very last season for blocks, which is 3. From the field,
.3.
yeah, I would say. And then he shot 50% from the field, so.
I mean, he's another really good Hall of Fame player from back in the
I
day.
didn't want to put him at center since he was only 6'8", so I put him at power forward.
Because the guy who I have at power forward, I just thought was just overall just more talented. And then I really wanted to put him at center. I really did because I think he's a really important guy for this franchise. He was kind of their first, him and Oscar were like their first 2 stars and stuff and led them to a lot of success or a little bit of success there at the beginning. But I don't think he could hold up at center, like you said.
No, yeah,
that's why
there's no
I
way.
couldn't pull the trigger on him at center.
The reason I was putting power forward because I had Page at small forward, who's also 6'10". So, I have,
Yeah.
And then my center is obviously going to be bigger than him. So, I have 2 guys that are taller than him. So,
Yeah.
I thought I was still fine averaging 19 and 19, though. I thought.
Anytime you can get someone who averages 19 rebounds a game, it's a plus. I'd say.
yeah, that's
I feel like I'm torn
pretty good
here
stat line.
because this is an old white guy, so that's Drew's expertise here. So
It doesn't seem to be.
but Drew was one of the few people in this room that had a Hall of Fame power forward from this franchise on his list. So I figured that would be his all-time power forward because Jerry Lucas didn't make any of our 50 lists.
Maybe that person's his center.
Could be. All right. Well, Wade. Well, first off, do we have anything to add on? By the way, I got to talk about some of his nicknames. These nicknames kill me. His nicknames are Mr. Memory, Dr. Memory, and The Computer.
There's definitely something going on there that we don't know about.
Yeah.
He's definitely got maybe he's super smart or something.
I was thinking he had like photographic
No,
memory.
wow, well that would make sense.
Something like that. He was really smart. So
Sounds good.
All right, Willard, who is your power forward?
C-Web.
Me too.
C-Web, yeah, me too.
He's my sitter.
So
Yeah, I
Weber's
figured.
on.
I mean,
Weber's in.
once you get past the 60s, guys, Oscar and well, I guess Archibald's kind of more 70s and stuff, but and Lucas, I mean, it's Weber. I mean, when you think of the Kings over the past, I don't know, however many years, in my opinion, Weber's the guy that pops in your head.
Yeah.
He was the
I
best
agree.
player they've had in decades, most talented player.
He's taking them the farthest.
Yeah, he's, their most team success came with him as their best player. Those Chris Webber-led teams were the ones that almost dethroned one of the biggest, most dominant dynasties in basketball with the Lakers, led by Shaq and Kobe. Some people would tell you they should have dethroned them the one year.
I feel like there's a pretty good case for it.
A lot of up-in-the-air stuff about that year, but whatever. But you get my point. Dominant power forward, made a couple top 50 lists, so I think he's an obvious choice at power forward.
Yeah, he's 23, 10, and 4, and 1.5, 1.5. 47% from the field, 23 from 3, and 69% from the free throw line. So if there's any one thing Weber did poorly, it was shoot free throws. But he was a pretty all-around player.
I mean, overall, he's one of the most skilled power forwards we've ever seen. He just didn't always mentally have it together, but skill-wise,
He was kind of a crybaby and stuff, yeah.
he caused some drama and problems in the locker room during his career.
I don't know if these all came in Sacramento or not, but he's a 5-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA. He won Rookie of the Year, and obviously that was not in Sacramento.
Yeah.
And he just made the Hall of Fame last year.
Did he start off with the Warriors or the Bullets?
Warriors, I believe, and
Was
then
it
he went to the Bullets
yeah.
from there. Yeah, Warriors, then Bullets, then Sacramento, then Philly, then Detroit, and Golden State again.
I think he's the reason why rookie contracts are the way they are
Yep,
now.
he is.
Because he did that little
He had an
hoopla.
opt-out after 1 year.
Yeah. He pulled some bullshit there at the beginning, and he's the reason they changed some of those rules. But originally, I believe he was pissed off. Wait, no, is that the wrong team? How did he get to Sacramento? Was it trade or did he sign there?
Pretty sure he
There was
he was traded to Sacramento because he was being a punk in Washington like he was in Golden State.
There was some situation where he ended up in Sacramento. I can't remember either way. Either you're right, and then he got traded there and he was pissed off about it, or if he signed or whatever it was, it was like the only team that would take him.
He was traded there, and then when his contract was up, nobody but Sacramento offered him a contract.
And he was really upset about it and didn't want to be there at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then he ended up being his most successful stop, and he ended up liking it there in the long run. But it was actually kind of a big deal because a lot of people thought he was going to act like a little bitch and try and force his way out of a third team in like just a handful of years.
You mean the James Harden?
Yeah.
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 But
Who also
when
no one
everyone
wants.
said no, you
But,
play, or no one's going to sign you.
what he said about Daryl Morey really made him look bad there today.
Here's the other thing, though. He just tanked his trade value.
Yeah.
Like, even worse than it already was.
Yeah, it was already not good. And then now you're going out and the one person who's always stood up for you and was like your guy throughout your whole career, and now you're throwing him under the bus. Like, you're just kind of ruining the end of your career there, Bud Drew. I don't know why he wants to go to the Clippers so damn bad. Just stay where you're at. You're on a team that's supposed to be contending. If you and the other star player would just play up to expectation, you guys could probably contend for a championship.
Agreed.
But whatever.
All right, well, who are we at now?
Center. I
Uncle
think.
Doug, I guess. Uncle Doug, who's your center?
DeMarcus Cousins.
He's also mine.
He is mine.
Yes.
He
DeMarcus.
he put up some big numbers.
He
in
did.
Sacramento.
Hella
He did.
numbers.
I forgot all about Boogie.
I mean, another bad team, good stat guy, but dear God, there was a lot of good stat. He tore up the NBA for a while.
Uncle Doug.
21-1, 10-8, and 3, with 1.4 steals and 1.2 blocks.
46% from the field, 32 from 3, and 73 from the free throw line.
That's a pretty big, having a guy that can dominate down low and shoots in threes. It doesn't hurt.
And shoot free throws decently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in his prime, wasn't he putting up like 28 a game, like 28 and 12 or something close to that a few years?
He had 27 and 11, 27 and 11, 27 and 10. So
Yeah.
He was ridiculous there for a couple
Yeah,
of years.
He was.
But the Kings just didn't have anybody else.
No, it was
It was
because it was a big deal, and he went to New Orleans to play with Anthony Davis.
his first year in New Orleans, he was 25 and 13.
Yeah.
and they made the playoffs that year.
Yeah, and then he got hurt.
Yeah, but I mean, it was because I think obviously he got the rap of a guy that couldn't really win. The way he played didn't lead to winning, and then he went to a team that had another big guy in today's era, where a lot of people thought that was a death sentence, and it actually worked out well.
Was that the year the Pelicans made the Western Conference Finals against the
No.
Warriors?
I don't remember.
That
No.
earlier year.
Well, I don't know if it was that year or not, but he wasn't playing. I know because that was Holiday and Rondo and Anthony Davis.
I knew they made one. They were one of those teams that
Did they really make the conference finals?
Yeah,
I
they
thought-
got swept.
I didn't think they
Pretty
made
sure.
it past like the second round.
I'm pretty sure they made it one year. I'm pretty sure Anthony Davis and they made it.
Oh,
To
you might be
Well,
right.
I don't know if they won. I don't know if they made the conference finals, but they won a first round matchup,
Yeah.
which is something
I know
they
they at
couldn't
least made
do.
the second round one year
Because I think Anthony Davis only made the playoffs twice
Yeah.
in New Orleans.
because they beat.
They beat the Blazers.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Yeah, but
But it was kind of sad. Boogie never really recovered from his Achilles injury.
now his career kind
He
of.
didn't.
He came back and had a few decent kind of stints with the Warriors, but he was in and out of the lineup and couldn't stay healthy, and then it was kind of just over after that.
Well, he started to regain his form in Golden State. He was having a season of 16 and 8, and then tore his ACL.
Yeah, and he's tried to become in as a backup places, but it's just
Yeah, wasn't he with the Lakers for a while? And then
like he's popped in and out of a handful of
Lakers
teams the
aren't on
past
here.
few years.
He- Last year he played was not this last season, like the one that Denver just won, but the year before he was Joker's backup in Denver.
Okay.
no, yeah, played. It was just the semis. I really did thought they made one though. I knew they got out the first round one year.
I was saying you're just one round off. It's not that big deal.
We've got a few good players up there to choose from.
Yeah.
It's an interesting little team.
It is, and there's some definite decisions to be made.
Well, if we could talk Drew into moving his Weber to power forward and changing Lucas to Cousins, that'd take two of them.
Yeah, that solidified two positions.
We talked about Lucas. We like him, but
I'm gonna need something. We make deals
Why?
now.
Why do you need something to take your old white guy?
I'm trying to help us out, Alex. This won't affect you at all. Don't help them out.
What are you wanting? A Pages support? I'm guessing.
pay just support me, all right.
That or take off Tiny.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think Weber, Oscar, and Tiny are the three best players in franchise history. To be honest. I don't know. That's a tough one. That is a toughie. I mean,
Dead
yeah,
air.
I don't know.
Our test.
I mean, if we wanted to attempt to play a little bit of defense, our test would be the answer to that equation.
Well, I told Ray before you guys got here, I went for scoring. I said that's going to be their chance.
Oh yeah, I mean, you have Archibald and Oscar, you got a really small backcourt.
Not only
They
that, but
score.
They
Weber,
do.
Weber and Cousins both get up and down the floor,
Yeah.
so you could
Yeah.
get out and
It's
run.
gonna be an all offensive team. So I mean, Archibald, Oscar, Richmond, Weber, Cousins was my lineup, and that is a hell of an offensive lineup.
Yeah. Because you're talking, 25, 29, 23, and Oscar, Tiny, and Mitch.
And Oscar and Tiny are going to probably get you double-digit assists on top of their scoring.
And only Weber scores more than Richmond. He got 23-5.
Yeah.
And those are the top four scorers on my list.
Yeah. And like I said, I really did. I wanted Lucas on my team because I think he's an important figure in the franchise history, but I just don't think he's as skilled as Weber, and he's just
I'm fine. I'm fine with taking him off.
going to
For,
get abused as
I
center.
think of
Marcus,
Lucas
I
more
just-
in New York than I do.
I forgot about Boogie.
Yeah.
I forgot he was there for that long.
So
I knew he tore it up, but I
Yeah,
totally
about 7
forgot.
years,
I didn't realize he was there that long.
which is also the same amount of time Lucas was there.
So are you cool going with the Weber Cousins front court?
Yeah, I'll be fine.
Okay.
All right.
That'll straighten out 2 positions there.
That's fine.
Thank you, Drew.
No problem.
So we now have our front court. Well,
Yeah.
kind of. I guess technically small forward is part of our front court. We have our 2 bigs.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had the 4 and the
And
5.
Oscar's on the team.
Yes.
Well,
Well,
it's those Richmond.
yes, so's Richmond.
Right.
Yeah.
Really. Just got to figure out where to put them.
I have a hard time not having Archibald on the team, to be honest. I don't know. What were Archibald's career numbers with the Kings?
25, 2 and 8.
25 and 8. Yeah. I don't know. When I think of the Kings, I think of Oscar, Weber, and Archibald.
I'll be honest with you. Tiny Archibald never enters my mind ever.
Really?
Like, not with Kings, not with anybody. Like, Tiny Archibald's completely forgotten. I mean, I don't even think of him as a Celtic. Like,
I don't really think of him as a Celtic really at all, but I mean,
Wasn't he on the Dave Cowan's championship team? Is that when he played for
no,
the
he
Celtics?
was,
JoJo White.
No, he was on the 81 team.
Oh.
he's there when Bird gets drafted,
Oh,
right?
that's right.
Yeah.
Right at the beginning of
Yeah,
Bird.
he's there at the very beginning of
Gotcha.
Bird.
Yeah, his first year is Bird's rookie year.
What is that, like
Okay.
79?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so
Hard
I guess
test.
why
Hard test.
Richmond for Archibald for you guys? I guess let's start there. Try to get this ball rolling.
Well, I don't know. I kind of thought Oscar at point guard because, like, I don't know. I mean, yes, it's nice that he gets 10 assists, but are we really going to have, I don't know, just having 2
We're
point
only
guards?
playing with one basketball.
I don't know. I guess.
Because Weber himself can get assists. Maybe we don't need another.
Well,
Assist
number wise,
guy.
I don't think the number of assists really matters, but having all-time great playmakers on your team is always beneficial.
Yeah.
Being able to
Oh,
move
yeah.
the ball and set people up always makes your team better.
Yeah.
I think having 2 elite players at that, and Oscar is like 6'5",
Right.
so he could play the 2, and he was a phenomenal athlete. So I think he's going to transition and be able.
So I guess the
athletically
argument
play.
is ball handling and passing versus shooting.
Yeah, what we come down to is this is actually Archibald or Peja or World.
Yeah. Because I mean, me and Uncle
Richmond
Doug
and
both
Oscar
have
are
Richmond.
there.
Yeah, Mitch Richmond's on the list.
Yeah,
It's comparing.
Oscar and Richmond are in.
Yeah, it comes down to we
It's
want
just-
another guy who can pass and score, or do we want another shooter or defense?
I mean, me and Uncle Doug already have. I mean, we have Richmond
Right.
already there to shoot. So I don't know.
I was just thinking with Oscar and then 2 guys who shoot 40% from 3. I thought that could be nasty the way he passes the ball. And then 2 big
mean,
guys. I just thought that'd be nasty. 2 guys shoot 40% for this team, and I thought the team would get up and down.
Oh yeah.
So
Well, I mean, with the older players, obviously, you're not going to get a ton of shooting. I mean, we've been over this a million times. They just didn't shoot a lot outside. But if you have Richmond, a dominant shooter, Cousins can stretch the floor. Weber shot some threes. He wasn't really great at it or consistent at it, I'd say.
He had some seasons where he shot
Yeah.
well, and then he had some seasons where he was garbage at it.
Yeah.
I think I talked about this during his 50 greatest episode.
Yeah, you did. You
Like-
talk about the inconsistencies.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
he has seasons with his field goal. Like, he has a season in field goal percentage of 55, and he has a season of 39.
Yeah.
And his 3-point percentage, he has a season where he shot 44% from 3. He has a season where he shot 11%.
Yeah.
You know, like, his free throw percentage is the same way. He has a season where he shoots 45%. He has a season where he shoots 80.
Yeah, I don't. That's some crazy discrepancies there, but I mean, like we've said a few times. I think Drew's mainly said it. Mainly, unless we're doing our tournament and based on today's NBA, I think if you have Richmond, He's a knockdown shooter. I mean, that's back in the day. A lot of teams some teams didn't have any shooters, or some teams really had one. But if you have a dominant shooter in Richmond and two big guys that can both stretch the floor and let the other two guards drive to the paint, I think you're really set, to be honest. I mean, shooting is never a bad thing. I'm not trying to say that. I'm not trying to say Peja wouldn't be beneficial to the team, because anytime, the more spreading the floor you can do, the more beneficial it is. But obviously you're getting the giant more playmaking benefit of having Archibald set up Richmond, Weber, and Cousins and Oscar.
Well, I don't think this team's going to win anything anyway, so fuck it. You can take my Peja thing off and go to Archibald. It doesn't matter which one we put on there. This team's not winning, so.
Oh my gosh.
They might be able to get a first round victory, maybe. Maybe. Depending on I guess it really depends on where we rank them. But
Well, that's a devastating blow there.
Well, since Alex left, I'll leave. I'm not going to change all three of their minds. We'll be here all night, so I'm fine with it.
All right, so Tiny's in at point, and Oscar's in at 2.
Well, we still have Ray to deal with.
Yeah, fuck it, I guess.
Well, those two were, well, yeah.
All right, well, we got it done.
Yeah, we got it.
All right, so our Kings all-time starting five. Ray just took his headphones off. He's done. Ray said, fuck it. So our all-time Kings starting five is Tiny Nate Archibald, Oscar Robinson, Mitch Richmond, Chris Webber, and DeMarcus Cousins.
I mean, it's not a bad team.
So that gives us, what, 3 Hall of Famers? Is that right? Or did Tiny make the Hall? Tiny made that. So 4 Hall of Famers?
Yeah. And like we said, the one part guy is not a Hall of Famer. Was putting up 27 and 11 every year in his prime. So
Yeah.
I think
offensively, I think they're doing all right.
I think it's in the middle of the pack, kind of like we talked about the last couple of weeks with Portland and Phoenix.
So I think we all would agree that this team would probably beat like the Memphis and Minnesota teams.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be like in the gutter, but I think they're going to be in the lower middle area of
Yeah.
the West.
They're
gonna
still a
be
decent team, though.
trash, but they're going to be somewhere in that lower to mid range.
Well, let's manage this. What about this team in Dallas?
So, Cousins against the Unicorn, great matchup. Dirk Weber.
You probably actually saw that.
Dirk Weber be a lot of
That'd
back
be a
and
pretty
forth.
good, yeah. Pretty
think-
good matchup there.
I think there'd be a lot of back and forth with that.
Where do we put Luka?
Who's
Point
small
guard or
forward?
shooting guard?
Lucas
small
is shooting.
Who was our small Aguirre?
Mark Aguirre. So Mark Aguirre
Was
against
Tim
Richmond.
Hardaway?
Aguirre and Richmond. That's
They
pretty
probably played
even.
against each other, and yeah.
Then we got Luca and Oscar.
Yeah, Luca and Oscar.
Which, I mean,
that's
Luka's putting up triple-double numbers.
Lucas
gonna
putting up
No, Oscar
similar
did.
numbers, only he's a lot bigger.
Yeah.
And Oscar's whole game was predicated on being bigger and stronger than most of the guys he played against.
Luka's
So that'd be interesting there. And then Tiny versus Kid, is that right?
Kid's going to have a hard time keeping up with him, but Tiny's going to have a hard time with Kid's power.
Yeah, Kid can push him around.
Yeah.
I don't know. That'd be a lot of back and forth. That'd be
It
pretty
would,
close.
yeah.
be a close series.
We
We
have to
have
do
more debate.
Okay, so let me ask the next one then. What about this team in Denver?
I'm going Denver.
I think Denver outscore him. Yeah.
Denver's offensive ability, if that team gets up and down the floor and pushes the tempo and just runs and scores, offensively, I'm not sure if I'm not
So
saying
we're-
they're the best team, but just as far as putting the ball in the basket,
So we're looking at what? Iverson,
beat.
English,
David Thompson.
Skywalker.
Thompson, Mello, and Joker.
yeah.
I think Weber would have a big advantage over Mello on that end, but you're right, Wade. I think that Denver team is just too explosive offensively because that's what this team's trying to do too is
Yeah.
outscore you.
Biggest problem with this team is their all-time greatest player is Oscar.
Yeah,
But he played so long ago, trying to figure out how he's going to adapt to these different eras and different players is going to be tricky when we're trying to figure out our rankings and trying to figure out who's going to be better than who.
Yeah.
Trying to translate him to later eras, and because like what Alex said is right. The way he played back then was based on physicality, but that's how a lot of people played. That was just kind of the era. Because like Frazier played a similar way. But they were really athletic. So I think in other eras and where things were a little different and they were, practiced different things. Like I think they both had like people like Walt and Oscar had the athleticism to still be dominant, but it's just a giant what if game, and it's just really pure opinionated, which kind of throws things for a loop. But
What about the Clippers?
okay, I gotta think here. We got Chris Paul, Paul George, Kawhi, Brand, and McAdoo.
Yeah,
Correct?
Yep.
Well, I'm not going against Kawhi and Brand.
Oh,
The hell out of here.
That's like Drew picking against Gobert.
Yeah. Favorite player.
I'm not gonna say anything. Nope.
I mean, Chris Paul and Oscar.
That turd. Nope. Too late, Alex. I don't even want to put him on Utah now. I refuse. I'm gonna bring a different center. I don't
Mark
care.
Eaton.
Mark Eaton,
It's probably your only choice.
Oyster tag.
Yeah,
I'll bring
Ostertag.
There's not a lot of great centers in that franchise.
I'll find somebody.
Unless we're forgetting about someone. Walker Kessler.
Walker Kessler. There you
Yep. Burn. Rudy.
It's going to be hard to get past the guy with 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards. There.
Bullcrap. Defensive Player of the Year awards.
Hey, man. Advanced Analytics had him being like the best player of all time. Some of them kind of did.
go.
It's
Yeah, they
kinda
did.
crazy part.
Unfortunately.
There were people saying he deserved to be like first team All NBA. I was like, shut up. Yeah.
Yeah. So Wade, you go with the Clippers there?
Out of all seriousness,
I think the McAdoo Cousins matchup would be really interesting.
would be.
And then Brandon Weber, we obviously saw that matchup.
Yeah. Kawhi and Richmond.
I say Kawhi dominates the first half and then sits out the second half, and Richmond comes back.
Maybe.
The Clippers have to play 4-on-5 the rest of the game. Kawhi said, "My knee hurts, guys. You're gonna do it without me. Sorry. Maybe next year."
Oh, Kawhi would give Richmond the business. Let's just knock it off.
Oh
That's
boy.
what, Paul George and Oscar? Well, Paul George is going to tower over him.
Yeah, there's like 4 inches there.
Well, you got to think, offensively, the Clippers could probably keep up with them, and defensively, they're like 4 times better. Because Chris Paul is an all-time great defender. Paul George is a very, very good defender. Kawhi is an all-time great defender. Elton Brand was a very good defender. And McAdoo was okay.
I don't know how good of a defender he was overall, but he blocked shots. So, I mean, he did something.
And you look at this team, Cousins is a below-average big man defender. He's big, but his defense itself wasn't always great. Weber was okay.
Weber was a good defender.
Decent.
Yeah.
Richmond, you're not going to get a ton of defense. Maybe average. Oscar, I honestly, I don't.
I don't really know.
Yeah, Archibald, you're going to get
The guy weighed 150 pounds. You're
Yeah.
not getting anything.
Right.
very athletic and quick,
Quick.
but he's going to get
Yeah.
abused because of his
He's
size.
going to play the passing lanes. That's about it.
It's like playing against Jameer Nelson or something.
Yeah.
Like,
So I do think the Clippers are better.
all right. Well, I think we did enough comparisons there. All right. Well, I think that'll wrap up our Kings portion of this episode and move us into our new-ish topic for our second half of our episodes. What if? And today, Drew has a what if for us that he is very, very excited
I am
about. So
excited about
if
this.
it sucks, I'm going to be very disappointed because Drew is very excited.
I've been hyping this up for about a week now. guys.
Me and Alex started off with a bang. You got to keep it going.
Hey, it's another draft one, like Alex's.
Okay.
Okay. So, what if Minnesota drafts Steph Curry and DeMar DeRozan instead of Ricky Rubio and Johnny Flynn?
You got real specific on us.
But there's still a lot of different.
I've seen this one come up a lot. What if with one of their picks,
Well, I mean,
Minnesota would have taken
they take-
Steph Curry, because they took. I mean, Rubio turned out to be a solid player, but Johnny Flynn didn't even play
He
hardly.
flamed out pretty quick. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was only in the league for a handful of years.
But they didn't just pass on Steph.
What year
once.
was this draft, Drew?
2009. Blake Griffin went 1 to the Clippers, obviously. Then Memphis took Hashim Thabit from UConn.
What a flop!
Then OKC took James Harden. Then the Kings took Tyreek Evans. And then Minnesota had 5 and 6.
Yeah, well, they took Rubio and Flynn, and Curry went next to Golden State.
Yeah.
So does that mean that
They would have had Curry and DeRozan
Kevin Love?
Kevin Love.
and Kevin Love. Yeah, I mean, it would have been Splash Brothers in Minnesota,
Yeah.
One's a 3-point shooter and one's a mid-range shooter.
right?
And Kevin
Well, I
Love.
mean, or you could say that Steph and K Love are the splash.
But how god awful would they be at defense?
Yeah.
Steph Curry, is Steph Curry the best defender with a 3? And that's not saying
Well,
a lot.
Let us look and see who was on that team.
So they had
Kevin Love can't shuffle his
Corey
feet.
Brewer, Brennan Cardinal, Wayne Ellington, Ryan Gomez, Jason Hart, Ryan Hollins, Nathan Jawai, Al Jefferson, Darko, Kevin Love,
Let's see, Al
Sasha.
Jefferson.
Al Jefferson's solid.
Yeah, he was solid.
So
And,
you would have had Al Jefferson
Brewer
as
was
center,
solid,
Love at
too.
power
He
forward,
put some defense.
and then you would have had a DeRozan, Curry backcourt, and then like Brewer playing
and
small
Brewer could
forwards.
play some defense. He
Yeah.
was solid. He played for
I would
those
say-
Florida teams that won back-to-back
So
national
this
titles.
this would have been, I think, DeRozan and Curry's rookie years. Al Jefferson averaged 17-9. Brewer was 13, 3-2.
By the way, we also can't leave out of this. Sorry, I didn't mean I interrupted you,
good.
Drew. But Minnesota also took Ty Lawson at 18. They drafted 3 point guards in the matter of like 10 picks.
What wasn't? Didn't they trade him right after that straight to Denver?
They traded them, yes, but I don't remember what the deal was.
Yeah. I don't know. This is kind of a tricky what if because
Well, it sure screws up Golden State.
Yeah.
well, I think Steph Curry's career is definitely not as good if this happens. Not. I mean, that situation is just so much different, and Golden State just worked out so perfectly for Steph. You know, it went there, and you know he gets the other Splash Brother, and Draymond comes up and kind of does all the stuff that they can't do, and it was just kind of a perfect storm. And they ended up getting Mark Jackson really pushed Steph and Clay to kind of screw everybody else. You know, you're open, you shoot. He really encouraged them to become the Splash Brothers, and he continuously encouraged them, and like the perfect role players kind of came into place. And then they end up getting rid of Jackson for Kerr to kind of help them get over the hump, who brought in this San Antonio-style offense that was all about ball movement and spreading everything out. And let's be honest, if Steph Curry is in Minnesota, no offense, buddy, but that shit ain't happening. Minnesota is a dysfunctional hot mess.
It is.
Yeah.
They are
Yes, it is.
dysfunctional. And DeRozan is definitely not a Splash Brother.
I think it really affects Steph Curry's career. Not that he would be bad, like he's still probably gonna end up being a great player, but he's not seeing 4 championships. He probably
I would just say he probably sees 0 championships.
yes, that was pretty much what I'm going towards. But but at the same time, Minnesota would be much more relevant. They'd be much better. They'd be able to score.
Well, here's
A lot of people.
I'm going to go on to a different part of this because I think I agree with what you said. Curry doesn't have the championships, maybe not even the MVPs. They're good though. They'd be a playoff team every year.
Oh, yeah.
But here's the part that I'm really interested in is I don't think that Minnesota would then trade Kevin Love to play with LeBron.
Right.
yeah.
I think you're right.
That's true.
And then so do they try and turn Wiggins into something else, or is he stuck playing with Andrew Wiggins?
I mean, knowing LeBron, he's going to get what he wants. He's probably going to get Wiggins for another star player. He's probably going to get what he wants. He has his whole career pretty much since he left the Cavs the first time. I mean, I don't know who he gets. Obviously, it's really up in the air, but
But it is definitely going to have an effect on LeBron down the road.
So
Kevin
what we're
Love
saying
did a
is
lot of
the two
important
most
stuff.
dominant teams of this era
would not.
would not.
It changes, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
'cause
changes.
Golden
in-
State would not be nearly as good without Steph.
Oh no!
No,
Well,
you
we-
have to have Steph to make their offense work.
And then that affects Durant's career, Clay's career. Is Draymond ever even Draymond without Steph?
Got to have somebody to make up for his lack of scoring.
A large reason why Draymond is obviously Draymond is a very effective defensive player, but a large reason of why Draymond is able to stay on the floor on offense because of his playmaking is due to the fact that he plays with the Splash Brothers.
Mhm.
If he doesn't play with the Splash Brothers offensively, he'd have a much harder time, I believe. I don't know. This creates a lot of variables. It's very interesting.
I would say it affects Timberwolves, but there's other stuff that later on down the road that Timberwolves do that it would affect.
Yeah.
Like,
We're talking about maybe the Timberwolves using their brain a little bit would have maybe ruined the best dynasty, we've seen in the past 10, 15 years, in the Warriors.
Yeah.
That might not even exist at all. It's a good possibility.
I would say the Warriors dynasty it doesn't exist.
Right, yeah.
You never know what happens later on down the road, but yeah.
Yeah, they're just not the same without Steph.
No. Steph is the driving
I guess
force of their
they
dynasty.
could still trade Kevin Love and you bring Andrew Wiggins in. Yes, I don't know.
But
Well, Kevin Love also was supposed to go to the Warriors at one point for Klay Thompson, but they didn't pull the trigger on it because of damn, why didn't they pull the trigger? It was like a big thing that, I think it was almost getting ready to happen, and then was it Bob Myers or whoever's running the Warriors? Someone convinced him, maybe it was Steph or someone, convinced him to hold off and wait a little bit longer and see if they could develop a little bit more and go a little farther, and obviously it worked out.
Well, Kevin Love also was very close to being traded for C.J. McCollum to go play with Dame years ago. But this is just my personal opinion. I just don't think you're shopping your second best player or first best player, however you want to look at it at that point, if you're a perennial playoff team every year.
Right.
Because, as much, they wouldn't be great defensively. Wade's 100% right. But I do think, because Love in Minnesota is a forgotten guy in all reality because
scoring and rebounding, he double machine.
he was a beast. He led the league in rebounds 3 straight seasons. He was a beast. He was not the Kevin Love we saw in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Well,
and if you've got DeRozan scoring and Steph filling it up from outside, it's really going to open things up. Kevin might even get better.
That's true. That's the one big thing with Steph Curry. You play with Steph Curry, you're going to get he opens up the floor better than anyone else in NBA history, and it makes it easier for everyone on his team.
His Kevin Love's numbers in Minnesota are 19 and 12.
Look at those. What are those prime numbers?
Right, that's what I was getting ready to say. His prime numbers in Minnesota,
Which is a couple of years right after they get drafted,
is 23 and 13 on 3 assists. He's 45 from the field, 37 from 3.
Here's another thing you got to kind of throw out there, though. Steph and DeRozan, they weren't bad when they came into the league, but it did take them a few years. They weren't instant stars.
It's true.
Yeah, it took him a couple of years. It took
I believe
Steph a couple of years to get over his ankle stuff.
Well, the ankle problems are legit, and I don't know what to say about that. But my question was going to be, would Steph have been better off the bat if he didn't play for Mark Jackson? Because Mark Jackson was a defensive first head coach and made them grind on defense all the time, and then his offense was Steph go one-on-one.
Yeah.
And he was an offensive dud as a coach. So would Steph have been, because obviously Steph was never going to be an all-world defender. So would he have been better off the bat if he would have played for somebody else that let him go?
Here's his numbers. His first year he went 17 and 6. Then he went 18 and 6. And he went 14. He only played 26 games that next year. And then it starts becoming. Yeah. So the first couple of years, 17, 18.
I believe DeRozan. It took him a little bit to become DeRozan.
Yeah.
It took him a little while.
His first year he only scored 8 points. And then it was 17, 16, 18, 22.
Yeah.
So they both start scoring 20 about the 2013 season.
So, fourth year in the league.
Yeah.
Well, and what does it do to Toronto if they don't have DeRozan?
Yeah,
Playing their all-star backcourt.
They don't have a championship because they can't trade him for Kawhi.
Right. Yeah, that's right. That doesn't happen.
So that means
Kawhi and Lowry were their backcourt that kept them.
That made them a perennial playoff team.
Right.
They had the best record in the East twice, I think.
They just couldn't beat LeBron.
Yeah. Well, I think they had the yips when it came to LeBron.
Yeah, they just fell apart. They saw him and just took a big old poo-poo in the middle of the floor.
So it's going to slow Toronto down. It's going to kill Golden State.
And it might
Okay,
affect
so I
LeBron.
guess here's our question, though.
And I think
Who-
it affects LeBron.
Who is the Eastern Conference power if it's not Cleveland or Toronto?
Probably the Pacers and the Hawks. Probably see the Paul George playing those Al Horford Hawks, those two.
LeBron and
Yeah.
Kyrie are probably still running the East.
Well, LeBron and Kyrie would still be very good. That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true, Wade.
Let's be honest. Even if they keep Andrew Wiggins, he's going to be an athletic freak that'll still help them. And then more than likely, they're still going to trade him for someone. Like, I still see LeBron probably, maybe not dominating as much as he did, but he's probably still going to run the East.
I guess it's an interesting way to look at it because he loses out on Kevin Love, but there's no Warriors.
Right.
Yeah.
So who is he going up against in the West?
Could be anybody.
Let's see who were the
Well,
Warriors.
if Kevin Durant, if the Warriors don't form, that means Kevin Durant doesn't leave.
So him and
So that means the
Either that or he leaves and goes elsewhere,
Yeah.
back home to Washington. Well, the team that came in second place in the KD sweepstakes was Boston.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So it's been him with young Tatum and Jaylen Brown. That was
KD or Kyrie was there by that point, so it would have been before that,
To
right?
get KD, they'd had to give up some of those draft assets.
so it'd
probably.
been
Well,
Westbrook.
he was a free agent though. What?
Yeah.
They didn't have to give up anything.
Yeah, he
to
just
get
signed.
him.
Yeah, he just left.
He just signed with the
Yeah,
Warriors.
last year was
That's
the
true.
first time Durant ever forced his way out of somewhere. He'd always signed as a free agent.
Where could he have went?
Hmm.
But do you think
Yeah.
you think he would have really left the West though to go play against LeBron? Like, if he would have known the West was that.
I
Like,
don't know because I know Alex is right. Boston wanted Durant really bad. I don't know how bad Durant wanted Boston though.
Yeah.
That's the thing that kind
Because
of.
if he was a free agent, he could have gone.
Yeah.
Didn't he want to go?
Yeah.
Didn't he talk about going to Washington too?
Well, Washington's where he's from.
That's where he's from. Yeah.
There's a lot of rumors about it, but I don't know.
I don't
again,
know how much he
invested
wanted.
He was.
Yeah.
He also took a meeting with the Knicks.
Well, that's just it's New York.
Yeah.
Well, let's say Durant does just decide he can't go to the Warriors. I personally don't think he was.
Oh, sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt, but
something was wrong. Go ahead.
no. Why would he leave? Because they might be the team that runs the West.
That's what I'm saying.
well.
Yeah,
It
like
is-
why? At that point, he may just be like, "Fuck it, I'm not
Well,
leaving."
Right.
He
Let them
left
blow the
because
3-1 lead
he
because
hated
there is no
playing-
Warriors.
He left because he hated playing basketball with Russell Westbrook.
He did.
He was miserable. and
But
he
if you
hated
win
playing with him.
championships with Russell Westbrook, do
Well,
you still leave?
That's different. That's different.
Right,
Yes,
because
if you're winning
they
championships,
they were in the Western
changes a
Conference
lot of
Finals
things.
back-to-back years against the Warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm-
championships, I
could
think
be.
you're right. I think he's staying put. If they're still not getting over the hump, I think he leaves because Westbrook was driving him nuts. And Westbrook was the reason, not the whole reason. I mean, Durant had his moments of being bad, and Harden did too, and everybody else. But Westbrook was like 70% of the reasons that they lost a lot of big games. Just being a ball hog and turning the ball over constantly and not making right rotations on defense and really just being a ball hog.
We're forgetting about the Rockets
Harden's Rockets.
and Chris
I
Paul.
have no faith in Harden
But they-
winning a championship.
Well, I mean, it depends on. I think we're kind of jumping around the timeline a little bit.
yeah,
Yeah.
we keep jumping.
Houston later in the
Late.
2000s. I think you're if there's no Warriors, I mean they
That's
were the
who
closest
they
team to ever
played.
beating the Warriors.
Right.
So there's an argument to be made there when they have Chris Paul and Harden. I think they could maybe win it
Because they played them.
Well, they almost won, and then Chris Paul got hurt, and they were up 3-2.
Yeah, and then they
Yeah.
lost
They were
game
sad.
6
I mean,
and 7. Yeah.
But we're also forgetting about the grit and grind Grizzlies.
they were good.
The grit and grind Grizzlies gave the Warriors fits for a couple of years there.
Again,
There's a
yeah.
couple teams. Again, we might not see the same team making it over and over.
Mm-hmm.
Different teams coming
Well,
out.
If Kawhi can't go to Toronto, and that situation's different, where's Kawhi go?
Well,
Where's
yeah.
Kawhi?
There's another team that gave the Warriors fits. Is
Yeah.
that San Antonio team with him and Aldridge?
What if he ends up staying and you have Aldridge and Kawhi and Tony Parker and Ginobili still coming off the bench and all those decent role players they got?
They
I mean,
developed DeJounte Murray, and they're still
Yeah.
there.
you know,
That'd be a nice big three:
Do the
Murray,
Spurs.
Kawhi, and Aldridge.
that'd be dominant, man. That'd be dominant.
So what about Portland with Dame and McCollum? I mean,
I think it probably ends up in the same situation.
I think Dame still
I don't
ends
think
up.
he's ever getting close to a championship. I know that one year he made.
Yeah,
the
they made a
conference
Western Conference
but they got
Finals.
swept and it's kind of a fluke
So-
thing.
does this Minnesota team come into play with that? If you have Curry, DeRozan, Love, and Al Jefferson, I mean, I feel like they can compete with most of these teams we're just talking about.
The big thing is while Curry and DeRozan are still developing,
It will take
do
them.
Love and Jefferson stay?
Jefferson, I think, would be old by the time those two are like dominant.
Yes.
But K Love, there's no reason he couldn't be.
No, I mean he could. I mean I was just asking the
So
question.
could you take those three still being two in their primes, Kevin Love starting to go off maybe a little bit, and then Al Jefferson just
I
playing fourth fiddle to all this? You
Yeah.
think they could make a decent run?
Jefferson never stayed anywhere longer than a few years. So I think we're waiting on DeRozan and Curry to
What do we say? The 2013 seasons when they both were
starting to hit their primes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see. What's Kevin Love do in 20?
18 and 14.
I just can't get past the defense, man. Well, again, it really depends because we've thrown so many scenarios of all these different teams. It just depends on
Who they could
which
pick
one
up.
we're going with. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
they could pick up defensive guys.
they're definitely going to be a playoff team with Curry and DeRozan. And,
If they get
and
the
Love.
right magic like that a couple of years, I think they could make a run. I'm not saying they're
They
no
could do some
dynasty or
damage in the
nothing like
playoffs.
that, but I think 1 year they could make a possible run. Just that much.
I'm trying to think. Do I think they'd be able to, like, down the road beat the Harden and Chris Paul Rockets? I don't think so.
Probably not.
I would go with that Rockets team. Could they beat the Dame Blazers? I think so.
Yeah, if that's who they got matched up in their Western Conference Finals, I think.
So I think there's certain teams they could beat, and there's certain ones I think that would probably have a little edge over them, but there's so many variables that go in and out.
Oh, yeah. It definitely makes,
It is an intriguing question to see
it,
who
it
would have.
just shows how inept Minnesota's draft.
Yeah, this just tells you how bad.
Yeah, you're right
when
on
you
that.
could have
Poor buddy.
Steph and DeMar instead of,
Like Alex said,
Rubio and Flynn.
Rubio was at least serviceable. He had some
yeah.
decent
Rubio's
year.
had a nice NBA career
Yeah.
at this
Right.
point.
Now, Flynn, no.
Well, didn't Steph just display his dominance in the NCAA tournament right before that?
Yeah,
Taking Davidson to Sweet 16 or something, or
something like
I
that.
think
yeah.
the Elite
showing
Eight,
his
maybe,
amazing
yeah.
shooting ability. Like his
Right.
stock was very high at that point, and lots of people were.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing on Steph when he came out was he can't ball handle, and he's too little to play the wing.
Right. Everybody thought he was too
That was
little.
the thing.
Then
That
they
was
drafted
been a
Flynn,
knock
who I
on
think
him
smaller.
his whole life.
Yeah, but he was a legit ball handler. Like he was a
Yeah.
point guard in
Funny 'cause
college.
now Curry's one of the best ball handlers in the entire NBA.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't Flynn go to the NCAA championship? Johnny Flynn. Didn't Syracuse go to the championship at that time?
They may, yeah.
Yeah, Syracuse had Syracuse either they lose the first round or they're in the Final Four. It's weird. But I thought.
So, yeah, definitely a good question, Drew. Makes you think. I like it.
I know that draft's always, and you always see Minnesota with those two picks. And I got let's see who else is after that. I'm like,
Right. It shocks you when you see that.
I'm like Steph Curry and DeMar DeRozan. They can't. That's
We're
definitely
both after
that's
those
definitely
two
way
picks.
better than what they got.
So I guess the only other question to answer is who. Okay, I know it's a little bit apart from your question, Drew.
Okay.
But I want to change your scenario for a second and see how people feel about it, even though Wade walked out of the room and he's the main one that's been talking about it. What if they don't take DeRozan? What if they take Steph and Drew Holiday, who went a few picks later? Now you're talking about having Steph with a Defensive Player of the Year candidate playing next to him,
Yeah.
who also can score.
Right.
and handle the ball. He's not the shooter Clay is, but he's a much better
defender
ball
like
handler.
Clay
He's a
was.
defender. He's a passer.
That's a good point.
He does some really good things.
It's still going to be better than Flint.
Yeah, it's better.
Well, definitely better than that. Did you hear what I said, Wade? I changed Drew's scenario slightly to see how people feel about it. What if they didn't take DeRozan with the second pick? They took Drew Holiday. Now you have a lock-up defender playing next to Steph, who also can handle the ball and score.
I think it fits better, obviously. I think Curry and Holiday could definitely play together. As Ray has informed us for 2-3 years straight now, Curry is kind of like a shooting guard.
Yeah.
And him and Holiday are both good, solid playmakers, but not great. But if you have both of them, you have plenty of playmaking. DeRozan's obviously a better scorer than Holiday, but Holiday, like you said, is 8 times better defender. And then you, like you said, you have a great perimeter defender, and then if you can just slide in a decent defensive big man behind Kevin Love, then you're a reasonably at least decent defensive team, which I think would Like when we were talking about them advancing in the playoffs, I think they'd have a much better scenario there, having a dominant wing defender, with being one of their main guys. Then you can slide in some role players that could help with the defense as well.
So, okay, I'm gonna do it again here. Do it again. So instead of taking Ty Lawson with the third pick, what if they take Taj Gibson?
Well, he could be the defensive center.
Right. So you have Taj Gibson and Kevin Love, Corey Brewer, Drew Holiday, and Steph Curry.
Now you got a team.
That's a pretty good team.
Yeah. Now you got a team.
So I didn't even look at the third pick. I didn't know if Minnesota had another one or not. I just saw the first two.
Did you look up that scenario? What the deal was with that and them in Denver?
No.
Because Lawson went to Denver. I don't think he never played for Minnesota, did he?
I'll look and see.
I think he. At least I don't remember if he did. I just strictly remember him
But
in
this
Denver.
is, like we said, this is just showing you how bad Minnesota.
Yeah, poor buddy.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy.
They didn't even get one pick right.
We're trying to help you out, buddy.
They really didn't.
Like they went 0 for 3 in that draft.
They pretty much avoided all the good players.
Yeah.
Let's just keep drafting point guards. We're going to skip the best one and just draft all the other ones.
Yeah.
Although, in all seriousness, although he never played for him, Lawson was actually fairly good at the beginning of his career.
Ty Lawson had a handful of really nice
Yeah,
seasons.
just didn't last overly long, but yeah.
Well, I'm struggling to find it though.
There's got to be something going on there because he
Yeah.
must have went to Denver for something. I can't remember who the hell would have gone back and forth there, but
They traded Ty Lawson for a future pick.
oh, okay.
Do we know who the future pick?
Uh,
Who the future pick became?
Who knows?
I'm looking. Sorry. This article doesn't say, but
Trying to think.
so
Getting,
now I'm going to change my story though. If my scenario is the situation, I'm not trying to hijack your scenario, Drew.
no, you're good. You're good.
If my scenario is the situation, I feel like this team might end up with a championship.
It's possible.
There's no juggernauts anymore.
Yeah.
No, it's an open West.
Well, we say that, but you never know. I mean,
I mean,
people are going to go to free agency and form super teams.
the
that kind of
first
thing's
couple
going
years
to
they're
do.
going to have to deal with OKC. Before what year does Harden leave?
Oh,
Is it the year after their championship run?
yeah, it's the year.
Yeah.
It's shortly
It's
thereafter.
either the year after or like the 2 years after.
So
something
it's
like
either
that.
2012, 2013 when Steph would really pick it up. So they got to deal with him. They got to deal with that OKC team when they have Ibaka and Perkins and Harden and Westbrook. They got to deal with them, and then it's
Then the Rockets become a juggernaut with Harden and Paul and all their good role players.
when does Paul go there? What 16?
His first year, Harden's first year in Houston is 2012, 2013.
So yeah, right when Steph's.
Getting ready to.
And then
Getting close.
I mean you got to deal with the Clippers, Blake Griffin, Chris Paul, and DeAndre Jordan, but they choked it up normally anyway. So we're
Yeah.
fine there.
Got to get that dig in.
You always got
It's
to.
all right. I took a
Are you
couple
just-
digs earlier.
Are you digging at Chris Paul
Here we go.
and
Here we go.
and giving playoff credit to James Harden? Are you fucking serious right now? The guy that just scored 9 points in a closeout game?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They both have a lot of playoff failures. It's really up in the air. But
I guess stick to your guns, right, Drew?
I'm always thinking to my Chris Paul guns. You know that.
I mean, technically, Chris Paul never made a conference finals until he teamed up with James Harden. But
Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
They both have their playoff
Yeah,
flaws.
they both are up and down playoff guys.
I just said to Mark the other day, Mark and I were talking the other day, and I said that James Harden is the biggest playoff failure in NBA history.
He's definitely digging himself up there.
yeah.
Yeah.
This last
I
year,
have to really take a
he's
look.
taking
at
more
things,
heat for what he should.
I don't know, man. If you score 9 points in a game 7, again, I don't know, man.
I'll tell you what, they roasted his ass on First Take today.
Well, his off-season stuff is a whole nother animal. That's a whole nother topic. We
Yeah,
don't have time for all of his
Yeah.
that stuff, but
But good question, Drew.
it was intriguing.
Very good.
Intriguing.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up our what if conversation. We appreciate you tuning in for this Sacramento Kings episode, and we would appreciate you tuning in next week for our San Antonio Spurs episode. That ought to be a good one. Plenty of Hall of Famers in San Antonio. One of Wade's favorite players also played there.
Oh yeah.
Could the Claw get his second team?
Hope so.
We shall see. But we also would appreciate you to send us some emails, subscribe, rate, review, all those great things. And thanks for tuning in to Sports the NEMO Way.